Committee meeting for May 15th, 2023 to order. Please call the roll.
Counselor Hill.
Here.
Counselor Burge. Counselor Walker. Counselor Gozick.
He's excused. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of our May 1st, 2023 meeting? Counselor Walker. Counselor Burridge.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Burge.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Is there any old business to come before this committee? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business under communication. Item number 1, the Zoning and Planning Office has received a request for use of public space from Adam Avery, contract purchaser of 39 East Oneida Street for 10 parking spaces in front of said property. Mr. McGann?
Adams, is that?
Yes.
So what we're looking for, Adam Avery is in the process of purchasing the synagogue from the auction, the city auction that recently happened. I don't think the transaction's complete yet, so. But his intention is to turn that into 8 high-end apartments, 8 high-end units in that location, which honestly, in conversations that I've had with counselors and the mayor previously, we figured whoever was going to buy it was, there's not a whole lot of things that you're going to turn that into. And obviously, parking was the biggest issue with that property, no matter who invested in it. Obviously, we're all familiar with the projects Adam's done and the job that he's done with them. So in looking at the surrounding areas around there and the parking that the county has and we have on Second Street, it seems that pretty much all of it is diagonal, parallel parking, and this kind of coincides with that. What we're looking for is 10 spots in front of the synagogue and a little bit to the west of that for the 8 units that he has there. He'll keep some green space in there, make a nice entryway in there. Yes, as Councilor Cordino is showing there, the drawing, with my lack of artistic ability, but the spots shown in there, how we plan to do that. And we've also tossed around a few ideas. The sidewalk there is a little bit rough, and if anybody's familiar with Adam, anytime he does a driveway, he actually replaces the city sidewalk so it matches and it's new at his own cost. And that's what he's proposing to do there. We've also discussed maybe jogging the sidewalk in a little bit so that it makes the parking spots a little bit deeper. And we have the opportunity to do that there. Really, it makes the most sense to create parking there. There's really no other way to do it. And honestly, if we want to move forward with a project, regardless of who bought it, we're going to have to create parking. So that, I mean, we're open to other suggestions. There has been some other ideas of, it did come up at planning board to like turn it into a one-way street and create parking, but with the amount of traffic coming and going from the county building and the other buildings around there, I'm not sure that's a feasible project to do that. I think this is a much better solution. So we're just looking for support to gain 10 parking spots there.
Okay. This is, in our information, it is indicated it's the 4th ward, but it's actually the 2nd. It's at the line, so we'll want to make sure that gets corrected. And I'll actually, Sean, Councilor Burridge, if you have any comments or concerns on this, since it is your ward.
I do have some concerns, but that building's been vacant for a long, long time. And it's time we did something with it, put it back on the tax rolls. And I see no other feasible answer but to put the park in there. I mean, it makes sense. I understand the county building's got a lot of business going on there. It's gonna get a little tough to park in that area. But I think this is the only feasible way we could make this thing work for the city.
Okay, excellent. Anyone else? Councilor Walker?
I don't mind going forward with this, but I was just wondering, can we move 1, 2, 3, and 4 to that sidewalk to the east? Because if you look at it, it's right at the edge of the county parking lot. Where do they put their snow? Believe me, I know you put it right there.
Yeah, I think the only reason that we drew that up was we were trying to stay between the trees and do that, but I don't see why.
I'm saying start at the sidewalk and go east from there. The sidewalk going towards the road.
The the sidewalk that comes.
Coming from the park itself.
Coming from the park out to the
Yes, right
roads.
where it's crossed out. I'd say start from there, cause I'll tell you, well, from experience, I plowed that parking lot for years, and we pile the snow right there, and then we remove it. So,
At that point, you're actually into the park proper, though. So you'd be actually,
we push it to the edge of the parking lot, right into the green space.
no, I understand, but it would be in line with the actual park itself, which I think visually would cause a lot of contention with folks. I think right now it's contained within the footprint of the building and existing.
2, 3, 4. If I had a better picture, I could show it.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to see it, but if we were to go further east, it would, I think visually it would,
I'll go a couple, there, you know, cause you know the amount of snow we can get. I'm looking at, cause you're gonna hear it from other sides, believe me.
yeah, no,
I
I
don't wanna hear it.
understand. I just,
First 2 or 3 spots should not be there, I guarantee it. They will be buried with snow.
Mr. McGinn, can you have any?
I mean, we could certainly look at, I understand what you're saying about that, I understand what Counselor Hill's saying.
There's a telephone pole right there too, or signs, there's signs there.
Yeah, we could, go over and retake a look at it to see if we can shift it.
I just think from a public perspective and the impact visually to residents, if they see cutting into what's in line with the park, it's gonna be a very dramatic, it's also gonna break up that area and it's gonna be a challenge.
The other
It's
thing
just gonna be a
we could
challenge.
maybe look at, go back to Mr. Avery and see if we could make it work with 8 spots and lose 1 and 2.
To
To pick
provide an area.
and not shift down in front of the park, maybe that's enough of a compromise to pick up that snow storage space and room to plow for you and still not impede on, just hate to get the parking spots down in front of the park.
The park itself.
Yeah, I understand, we can certainly entertain seeing if we can go down to 8.
I think that would be a better solution.
I think it's better than pushing it down in front of the park,
Yeah.
honestly.
I think that's gonna cause a lot of concern with residents. So we can look into that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's a meeting tomorrow night, so I can talk to Adam about that.
Okay. So, at this point, I don't think we can move it forward unless we do so with the contingency that it be reduced to 8 in the same footprint at this point. We can probably amend it on Monday if we need to, so if there's a change. Or we can send it through the way it is now and make the amendment Monday when we have a resolution, if that's okay with everyone?
Okay with me?
Okay? If we're gonna change it, yeah.
It's,
So-
I'm sure this thing isn't gonna be going, the construction hasn't started on it yet.
Yeah, so there's time,
We
but-
have plenty of time on this.
Yeah. But, so at this point, I'll take a motion if anyone has one.
What was the motion again? I'm sorry.
Well, I think we would just move it to council, and then when we come with a resolution, we'll amend it on Monday to reflect whatever change we make to it.
Cause I'm looking at it right now on
Yep.
Google Maps. You can move down 2, 3 spots. You're gonna have to take a tree out though, and you won't even be parallel with the park yet.
Because what we're looking at has the 10th spot almost to the park. It's right at the edge of the building, maybe
We can
3
go
feet.
tomorrow- We can go tomorrow and
The
remap
park's
it, try to-
another 30 feet away from 40 feet away from the building.
While we make a motion, then we'll just accept it as, we won't block the county's parking spot, and we'll try to keep it in the boundaries of the building, so we'll not try, we'll keep it in the boundaries of the building, so it doesn't affect the park, and that way we can put the number on it on Monday, next Monday, or we can just table it and bring it back forward next week, or 2 weeks from now.
So,
I'd like to see the plan before I vote on it.
well, you don't have to, if 2 of us vote in the affirmative to move it, it'll go to council, even though it doesn't necessarily won't pass, or may or may not pass, but we can amend it Monday. but I don't believe I can second the motion, so if you won't advance it forward, it'll stop. So that'll be procedurally,
Let's table it.
okay. Do you think that's a good idea?
Whatever, I mean, realistically, I could have you drawn to you by Wednesday at the latest, but that's up to you. If you want to, you want to push it forward based on the fact that we're going to come up with an amended plan. I mean, if everybody doesn't like the plan, you can vote down.
Right.
Pull it before next week, whatever you guys think is.
Right, moving it to council doesn't mean it's going to be passed. That's the,
100%, I
yeah,
know.
so,
But I don't like pushing things through either.
well, it's up to, I'll open the floor for a motion. Counselor Burge, do I have a second? If not, then, okay. So we will, that's just going to rest, and we'll deal with it after. Okay?
Sounds good.
So, moving on. Item number 2, the Office of Economic Development has received a request for use of public space from Mayor Denise Neese, Executive Director of the H. Lee White Maritime Museum, regarding the Oswego Beers, Bikes, and Barges Cycling Event to be held on June 22nd, 2023, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Any questions or concerns from the council on this request? Okay. Could I have a motion, please? Counselor Walker, Counselor Burge.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Burge.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Item number 3, the Office of Economic Development received a request from the Oswego County Federal Credit Union to organize and host movies in the park to be held on June 29th, 2023 in Washington Square Park. Any questions or concerns on this request? Okay, could I have a motion, please? Counselor Burge, Counselor Walker.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Burge.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Item number 4, the Office of Economic Development has received a request from Michelle Merritt to host the St. Mary's Bazaar at St. Mary's Church parking lot on July 21st and 22nd, 2023, from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Any questions on this event? Okay. Could I have a motion, please? Counselor Walker, Counselor Burge.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Burge.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
And item number 5, the Office of Economic Development has received a request for use of public space from Amy Nelson to host a teddy bear picnic at Brightbeck Park on Thursday, May 25th, 2023, from 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Again, any questions on this request? Okay, could I have a motion, please? Counselor Burge, Counselor Walker.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Burge.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Is there any other business to come before this committee? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Counselor Walker, Counselor Burge.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Burge.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Steve, can you angle that so the spectators can see it a little better? Good. All right, this time I'd like to open the Administrative Services Committee meeting for May 15th. Please call the roll.
Counselor Corradino.
Here.
Counselor McBurdy.
Here.
Counselor Hill.
Here.
Counselor Plunkett.
Here.
Counselor Burge.
Here.
I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of the May 1st, 2023 committee meeting. Counselor Plunkett, Counselor Burge.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor McBurdy.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Burge.
Yes.
Any old business? Seeing none. Item number 1, under communication. Mike Riley, purchasing agent, requests authorization for Mayor William J. Barlow Jr. to sign an agreement with National Grid to acquire the street lighting assets in the city of Oswego, and further authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement with Siemens Industry Incorporated to engage in an energy performance contract. Is there anyone here to speak to this particular contract? I see a couple gentlemen in the front row. Would you step right up to the podium, state your name and your affiliation, I guess?
Sure, absolutely, President Corradino. Chris Cadd, I serve as Municipal Market Lead for Siemens Industry, and joining me is?
Raj Silbaraj. I'm a Senior Energy Engineer with Siemens.
All right, thank you.
Excellent. So over the last 6 months, we've been doing a lot of work with the city of Oswego, and first and foremost, thank you to everyone on your teams. They've been incredible to work with, whether it's Chad, Raquel, Jerry, Tim, certainly President Corradino, Mayor Barlow, Mike Riley, Jeff, Taryn. Everyone has been wonderful to work with, and these projects are only as good as the information that we're able to get from the city, right? It takes so much cooperation at every level to put together a performance contract. that's good not only for today, but also for the long term. So before we get started, I just want to thank all those folks who had a critical role in assembling what we have here this evening. As you may recall, for a long time, purchasing the city's streetlights has been a priority, and this is, the city's pursued a couple different avenues to accomplish that goal, with the idea of using the savings that are generated through that streetlight purchase, buying out that lease, as well as energy savings, not only to positively impact the bottom line for taxpayers, but also take care of a number of lingering issues with infrastructure that would otherwise fall on your budget. We accomplished this by working under Article 9 of New York's energy law, which allows the city of Oswego to leverage energy savings out into the future to pay for work today. So this brief diagram shows how an energy performance contract works. This is what you're currently paying in terms of utilities, right? We bring that down by getting out of those streetlight leases, making your buildings more efficient, making your lighting more efficient, your controls more efficient, resulting in lower utility costs, and then we leverage those lower costs to pay for this work. So using future utility spending to cover costs that would otherwise be burdened onto the city today. Doing that allows us to have no impact on the tax cap. It allows the city to get those important pieces of infrastructure accomplished today, and Siemens works collectively with the city to capture all applicable grants and incentives from New York State and the utilities. This is a brief run-through of what we call facility improvement measures by building. So across the city, under this performance contract, you'll see improved lighting in parks, in different city-owned buildings, which is important not only from a cost control perspective, but also a comfort perspective for those who use these facilities. So that's converting to LED, which I know many of you have probably seen, even of the residential or small business level, the cost savings associated with LED conversions. Building envelope improvements. So we're talking about door sweeps, insulation, things of that nature to tighten these buildings up. It's great to have more efficient boilers and more efficient air conditioners, but if you're not keeping that energy inside, it doesn't do as much good. Then upgrading certain building controls, PTEX in the high dam control room. The city has invested a great deal in improving high dam already, so let's keep those controls in good working order by getting them climate controlled. We've got various rooftop units which need to be replaced. One other important item is the ADA compliant chairlift at the city pool before the pool opens for the summer for the kids and all city residents. Water flow meters. So this project will install flow meters in your city buildings, so you'll be able to see what the actual usage is, which currently is not an option. So that's important for making sure that those buildings are efficient and spotting problems early. Also, fire alarm system upgrade for this building. Facility improvement measures. When we talk about street lighting converting to LED, so it's procuring the existing street lights from National Grid, upgrading those to LED. And one of the interesting things that we found is we actually commissioned an inventory, so individuals to go light to light to map out these street lights, so the city is only buying what is existing, right? And Mike Riley did a lot of hard work helping us match street lights that may have existed at one time, but either no longer exist or aren't on the map anymore. So we went out, and this map on the left is literally every street light inventoried and marked in the city of Oswego. So we know what the city is actually purchasing and can schedule maintenance and retrofits accordingly. And that's on this, upgrading these to LED. The city will see significant energy and maintenance cost savings, as well as the lease payment reductions and elimination. interior lighting upgrades, virtually every city building. Facility improvement measures, we have a picture of City Hall here, so you can see where energy is leaking. And I don't know, Raj, if you want to shed a little bit of light on that, as you're the taker of the photos here.
Yeah, so like you said, it's one set of pictures are the City Hall, and the other is looking across on to the Conway building. So pretty much wherever it's red or orangish is where your building is leaking. Not that good insulation. So our work would be upgrading it to make sure like the energy is not leaking out of places where it shouldn't be, and keeping everything tight. And the other one is the heat pumps and controls upgrades at the Conway building. So we are upgrading all the heat pumps, which are the in-wall units that provide heat to the building. We are upgrading them, replacing about 40 of them, and then upgrading the remaining 25, adding better controls, providing heat pumps where it's not there, like for the parking attendant, she doesn't have one right now, so we'll be adding that on, and providing better controls so everything comes together and talks together properly. And the PTAC at the control room, like Chris was saying, this is for the control room section where keeping the operators comfortable and also taking care of the heating need in the building. And the rooftop unit, that's for the DPW garage. Right now, the cooling and the gas, it's not working that great, so this is replacing it with a completely new unit with cooling and gas-fired system on the roof.
Additional measures, as we previously discussed, flow meters, an alarm system for City Hall, as well as that ADA chairlift. So how is the city funding this, right? Which is probably the question on everybody's mind, is through future energy savings. Siemens contractually guarantees units of energy saved. So it limits the risk for the city, right? Because we're guaranteeing that we're going to be able to save X units of energy for the city of Oswego by making these improvements. And then there's also operational savings, right? If you don't have public facilities employees having to change out burnout T8 and T12 light bulbs all the time, that frees them up to do other important work that the city has them doing. And one of the things that's also really exciting is giving the city control over its own assets. So for each of you, you're probably, how many calls do you get a year or a month from constituents about burnt out streetlights? More than one? Right.
I got a question. Who's gonna replace them?
Sure. So right now, are you talking about for the initial construction period?
That
And after?
After.
Yeah,
the fact.
absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
a big question on us.
So, 100%, and it's a great question. So, Siemens takes care of the install, right? Warranties, using union electricians, et cetera. And then post, we've accounted for maintenance costs, and we'll work with the city to either bring in a third party to do it, right? Or have Siemens do it directly. And the nice thing about that sort of system is, unlike if somebody isn't performing and they're not taking care of things in a timely manner, as a city government, you have redress to say, that needs to be changed out. It's in your contract and fixed by 2 days from now. If it's not, we're going in a different direction. Right now, you don't have that leverage, so it puts the authority back in your hands as a city government, as a council. One other option, which some cities do, but really does not make necessarily financial sense for the city of Oswego, is certainly you could pursue a city lighting department, but there's more cost-effective ways to do that. Yes?
If this passes, what's the time frame?
So the biggest hurdle to any project like this is always how long does it take Public Service Commission to approve the streetlight buyout? That can vary. And it varies with the Public Service Commission, New York State sets its own calendar. So this kicks off that process. And, we've identified the work the city wants to do. We're in agreement on that. We've got the right team in place. And then it's a waiting game for the Public Service Commission.
Actually, the next slide, I think.
This is a rough outline of a timeline. So board resolution, right, we're already ahead, so, cross that off. It's not June. Looking at Public Service Commission, probably December, January, and we're basing that on what we're seeing their calendar look like right now. So, early, late this year, early next year, Public Service Commission approval. And from our perspective, we want that approval as quickly as possible for the city, especially with what's going on with commodity pricing, labor pricing, interest rates. So anything we can do to expedite that, we will. One of the other important parts too is you can't, unlike other sorts of processes, there's no change orders. So that's another key difference. What you see is what you get. Yes?
In the infrared scans, or a significant amount of the loss of heat
Yeah,
is in the area of the windows.
yep.
Now, as a historic building, these have very unique and very expensive windows. So do these calculations take into account the tremendous cost in either replacing or doing something to these windows to make them efficient?
Yeah,
Because it's remarkable how expensive they can be.
yeah, and we're talking about sealing them, right?
Okay.
Sealing them, but certainly not in any way disfiguring the historic nature of those
Well,
windows.
and I'm not really speaking to that, I'm just thinking about the
Yeah.
cost, because
And guess what, if we get,
similar projects and they're
if we get the
astronomical.
cost wrong after the city has signed a contract, right, we can't issue a change order and say we miscalculated.
But if the work isn't part of the contract, then, so you're saying sealing, but really not altering the windows
No,
themselves?
no.
Okay, but then you'd still be losing that heat through them?
You'd still be losing less heat through them, right?
All right.
You'd be
Well, just
losing less
because
heat
it's the
you're sealing
entire
sides.
window that's illuminated, so if you're sealing it, yes, you can correct the
Yeah.
outer, but the actual window itself will still, there'll be a transference between that, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And we might be able to give you some other ideas on historic windows.
It's not, I'm not concerned about it, I just know that if that were
Yeah.
considered, it would be just tremendously expensive.
Extraordinarily
We would never be able to
expensive.
do that, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir.
What other cities have you done, or where have you done them that's actually?
Yeah. City of Troy, City of Cohoes, City of Fredonia. Those are three very recent projects.
And what's the cost up front?
Zero.
There's no cost to us whatsoever.
So what the city is doing is you're executing a finance agreement, right? That you're gonna pay X, right? And that's based upon the guaranteed energy savings that we're providing. But we're not coming to you and saying, this project, costs $10, we need 5 of that now. No. We're using energy savings and other savings for the city to pay for this project. And one of the, interesting things when we look at other similar sized communities is Oswego actually has a ton of infrastructure for a community this population size just because of all the commercial activity. So I would say it's most comparable to the city of Troy. The city of Troy might have more people, but you have almost as much infrastructure.
What's the contract, how long is it?
This is over a 20-year term.
20-year term?
Yep. Over a 20-year term, and that's with us guaranteeing those savings throughout the term. And that's a first-party guarantee, so if we don't achieve those savings, that is Siemens' responsibility to make up those units of energy back to the city. Siemens is a well-capitalized, large company that employs more than 70,000 folks in the United States alone. So We were here for 175 years, and our plan is to be here for 175 years more.
You going electric streetlights?
And in 175 years, I'll be dead, and I don't know if there'll be such a thing as streetlights. It'll probably be putting lasers
Battery operated.
lasers in the sky by then, but that's the plan.
Can you explain the procedural process by which you actually get the value of those savings? So how does the money, I think that's what
Yeah.
Councilor Burge was trying to get at. How do you actually get the money that pays for this contract? Because energy savings isn't really a currency.
Sure.
So I think that's the
Yeah,
question.
absolutely. So it's a municipal lease, right? So Siemens Financial Services underwrites those leases because we as a company feel it's, we build good projects, so we're willing to invest in our projects. So we underwrite that. That pays for the actual vehicle, right, which is, in this case, all of this energy and infrastructure work. And then the savings derived, right, which the city realizes, go back to your coffers, and then you use that to pay the lease payment. And the risk element is reduced for the city because we're guaranteeing those energy savings.
So we're basically paying
Right.
a lease with Siemens.
A lease through Siemens,
Perfect.
paying it with savings that are guaranteed,
Got it,
that you're getting.
got it.
Yes.
So what would the lease payment be?
Sure. So over the term,
Like,
Oh.
what do we need to budget in on an annual basis?
right. Sorry. So as the numbers from National Grid come out, I'll be able to give you a monthly pro forma. This is what we have budgeted in terms for the buyout and implementation cost. So, and then depending on what interest rates are and depending what the final buyout price is, because there's depreciation from National Grid, that is going to fluctuate. Will fluctuate between now and then, right? But one thing we can do is I can give you like a 20-year pro forma or something like that once we know what those interest rates are going to be, which we're going to know as soon as they approve that buyout. And we're going to try to lock those interest rates in as low as we can, right? So the total cost to the city over the term is $17,340,222. And after all of this is paid for, the note is paid for, you're still seeing positive cash flow of $734,000
Over 20 years.
over 20 years after getting all of this infrastructure done. So you're getting this all done, and at the end, that's the total net benefit.
And Siemens is guaranteeing that.
Correct. We're guaranteeing the energy savings.
How do you verify that?
Sure, that's a great question. So because we're signing a contract with the city of Oswego, we have to do annual verification. So we have to go in, access your utility bills, which we do on a monthly, if not weekly basis, to make sure that we're hitting that, because our interests are aligned with the city. We want the city to save as much energy as possible, because if we don't hit those metrics, we have to come back and report to the city every single year, and those reports have to be real and auditable. So if we don't hit those metrics, we have to write the city a check, and we want to make sure it's as accurate as possible. I mean, we're guaranteeing this work, and it's important that those numbers are verifiable. Earlier, one of the council members had asked me about similar municipal projects. One thing this is obviously different than a city, but is Oswego City School District, right? We have done multiple phases of energy performance contracts with them over the years. We just started our latest one a couple months ago, 3 months ago. And, each time we have to verify, report back, and they've chosen to continue to work with us because we hit our numbers. Same with the Fulton City School District.
So it's fair to say that a lot of these upgrades we are going to have to do anyway. And instead of it coming, directly out of our pocket, they're going to basically sign a lease with us that it's all going to get done. And we're going to be guaranteed that the amount we save by doing it will cover the entire thing. So we're gonna have to pay for it anyway, so this makes it a zero net cost to the city to do things that we were going to have to do anyway. So, I mean, it seems like a win-win, but
What about, I know you said you couldn't come up with a monthly figure or, we'll be making payments, but,
Sure.
the savings that you're listing here are basically over a 20-year period, but we're not going to be making all the changes in 1 month.
Right.
So I mean,
Yeah.
the changes will get better, I should say, the efficiency should get better.
Exactly.
And according to your timeline, the contract, or not the contract, the work is not going to start for another year, April of 2024.
Which hopefully that can be, it depends on when Public Service Commission comes out, right?
Right,
But our-
let's
yeah.
use that as a date.
Right.
So if we were to sign this, so when do our payments start?
Not until work is completed.
When the work is completed?
Correct.
So if you start in April of 2024, let's say, according to your
Yeah.
schedule, and you estimate work to last how long, to complete all all this work? 20 years?
No,
All right,
no.
Right now, we have it for 12 months.
12 months, yeah.
12 months?
Yeah,
All right. And the payments would start when the project is complete?
Correct.
So again, if you use the date of April of 2024, realistically, a year later, in April of 2025, is when the payments would start
exactly,
coming your way.
exactly.
Many of the other, like lighting, interior lighting and stuff can be completed within a month or two. So you'll be accruing savings for a year before payments start.
I would think the low-hanging fruit here is the streetlights. Is that correct? I mean, was that something to be done for early on?
So, yeah, exactly. In terms of order of priority, right? The street lighting, working aggressively but still safely, a crew could do, somewhere between 15 and 20 a day, right? But an interior lighting upgrade where you don't have it, bucket trucks involved and things like that happens a lot quicker. This work is going to be going on simultaneously because we have to deliver this project to the city in a year, right? We don't want to be late on that, so our project managers and supervisors are getting this work moving.
How about an operational question when it comes
Sure.
to these streetlights?
Yep.
It's kind of my little pet peeve, streetlights. I'm glad we're talking about this.
Yeah.
I've been advocating for LED lighting for 5 years now. Operationally, though, now, what we have now is National Grid takes care of the repairs. So when a resident calls me, matter of fact, one called me this morning about a light that was out on Route 48. I go to the website and, I look at the map and it's pretty easy.
Right.
As my wife would say, easy peasy.
Right.
So let's look at the crystal ball a year and a half from now. How are we going to fix lights that are reported to us? Mrs. Jones says the light across the street is out. How operationally are we going to be doing that?
Sure. So there's different options which we would work with the city on over the next year to find, to do it in the most cost-effective way, right? So usually an online portal we found to be effective, but also, saying an online portal, but also, you can call X, right? And sometimes it's a call directly to the maintenance vendor. Sometimes that's a call directly to a designated person at the city. But using some sort of online portal where somebody can say, this number light is out, and putting parameters around response times. One of the things I think that was really important that we did is go and physically map each city light so the city knows what it's buying and isn't buying stuff that's either not on the map or not included or was knocked down long ago by a car, and doing a real inventory so you're not getting stuck in a position where you're guessing at the number of the light. There's one inventory that's on the city's GIS system this contractors all have, and everything is clear and up to date. So what happens over the years is when street lights get added, when decorative lights get added, or when a new lighting changes in a neighborhood or something like that, the National Grid system can get really wonky.
I know you did the survey, it's been completed, but none of us have seen the numbers. I'm just curious, how many streetlights do we have in the city of Oswego?
We have a total of 3,000. There's about 2982 to be precise that you are buying from National Grid, and you own about 75, I think, or 90 streetlights already. So combination of that is about 3,073 fixtures.
And one of the other things too, like the city owns that needs updating is the lights in between this and Conway, right? So you've got these decorative fixtures right outside this building with the white bulbs on them that are very difficult to fix, and you can't find different replacement parts for them. Getting things like that upgraded. Eventually, they're not gonna be able to find any parts for them at all, and that's gonna become a city responsibility. So putting something that's nice, decorative, metal, that looks good, that's gonna last for a long, long time, that the city, you know, is responsible for and will, you know, add to the aesthetics of this building.
All right, anybody else have any questions for these gentlemen? Yes, Counselor McBurney.
I just wanted to piggyback on Rob's question. So will you put your request in the portal now? When we do this with National Grid, there's absolutely no expectation of any time frame whatsoever. So how will we know what the time frame is, or is that negotiated when we finalize?
So the company doing that work is gonna be working directly for the city. So there's accountability there.
We set the time.
You set the timeline.
Excellent. Okay.
One thing I would suggest, though, is a reasonable timeline, you know, 24 to 48 hours, if I may.
We'd be happy with a week at this point.
Well, it won't take that long,
Sorry.
but
We'll work closely up to.
All right, anybody else? Counselor Burge.
So basically, we're gonna take a loan for $18 million. You guys are gonna do the work. And any of the savings, when you guys do all this, you're gonna make the determination how much we're gonna be paying back over a 20-year period of $18 million, pretty much, right?
It's only about 10.5, right?
$10.5 million.
Yeah.
So we are gonna take the loan, but if there's damage to a pole that needs to be fixed, we're gonna fix it after you guys do the upgrades. Not National Grid anymore.
correct. National Grid is out, and the city, through a service contract, which we have accounted for annual costs based on what our experience has been in Troy, will be responsible, and that contractor will be accountable. So it reduces a lot of, the feedback we've gotten from different municipalities is that it reduces a lot of the problems you have with a light being damaged and nobody showing up for 3 months, or so there's many different kinds of street lighting fixtures within the city, right? So if the utility has plenty of this sort of Cobra head, you know, that might take 2 weeks, right? But if it's something that's a little bit different or weird that they have to special order, who knows? This standardizes the entire portfolio.
That opens it up more.
Counselor Walker.
Say we have a motor vehicle accident, wipes out a telephone pole. Who do we call?
That's going to be included in a service contract. And each one of these sorts of things is an agreed upon price. It's in a service contract.
Where would they be located? I mean, is it gonna be close? I mean, National Grid is
Oh.
5 miles away,
Yeah, so
3 miles away.
If it's a pole, so what the city is buying is just the arms.
We're gonna be paying.
Oh,
The
we're not
arms on
paying
the
for the
lights.
pole itself.
The
we
poles
pay
are
rent?
still owned by Grid.
We're gonna
Yeah.
So
rent
if
them.
someone hits it, it's on them to fix it.
Okay.
So we're gonna be paying rent for the pole, just like,
Only for like poles that say are decorative and the only thing on it is the street light, those are the ones you're buying. So if it's a shared pole that's being used by, you know, telephone, cable, whatever beyond it, National Grid still owns that pole as the asset.
Okay.
and we're gonna be paying rent for that.
Say it again? I didn't
If
hear
the light's
that.
on top of it, they're not gonna let us leave that light up there for nothing.
Are we renting it?
Yeah, you pay a rental fee, small rental fee. It's like 60 cents per month per pole. That's already set in the tariff for it. It's a fraction compared to what they charge you for the lease payment of it, right?
Is that included in those costs that I'm seeing up there?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
All right, turn around and take a look. It's included.
It's included.
It's in there.
5,000 poles.
right. And,
Any other questions? I think we've done a good job of asking a lot of pertinent questions here. Anybody else have any issues before we move this along? May I have a motion, please? Counselor Plunkett, Counselor McBurney.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor McBurney.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Burge.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for your time.
Item number 2, Amy Murphy, Director of Community Development, requests a transfer of funds in the amount of $40,000 from the Tourism Contracted Services account to the Community Development account for the 2023 special events. Amy Murphy's not here, but I did talk to her, and this is just, as it says, transferring money from one account to another to take care of some things that we're going to be paying for during the summer in the tourism account. Anybody have any questions or concerns?
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, Counselor, it says Burge on
I'm
the front.
Burge
Should I
today.
call you Burge? I'm not sure.
The thing
Counselor
is,
Walker.
why aren't these department heads here for the next two? They never come.
Well, I
I'm
know,
gonna start saying no to these.
well, I know Amy Murphy was working today, but she left for vacation.
I understand.
and
If
it-
it-
and it-
then
and
you
as you-
talk to her, I understand that one.
And
Next
as you
two-
know, the other department head left 2 weeks ago and went to work for you guys in the county.
Well, I know. But, I mean, Miss Gallagher, next two items, where is she?
You can ask that when we get there. Maybe she'll pop in the next couple minutes.
Okay, thanks.
Any other concerns or questions with item number 2? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Counselor Hill, Counselor Burge.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor McBurney.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Burge.
Yes.
Item number 3, Jennifer Gallagher, Director of City Rental Assistance Program, requests permission to send 2 staff members to the City of Buffalo from June 13th to the 14th, 2023 for training. I did not talk to Jennifer Gallagher, but I did talk to Deb Code, and she said that this is in the budget, and it is something that is important for them to do. They will be going there for training, which is important for the HUD program. So does anybody have any concerns or questions on this one?
Again,
Yes, Counselor Walker, did you want to bring up a concern?
same thing, where is she?
Same thing? Okay. Same thing. Yes, Counselor Hill.
To be fair, it's already budgeted. We approved the budget that had that
I
in it.
understand that, but come
So
here and
she's already
speak.
asked for it, though. We've already approved her.
Come here and speak.
Why? It's
Every
adding
depart- I'll
unnecessary
tell you,
layers of bureaucracy.
County government, city government, it's two different
So-
things. Every department head is here.
But if it's
If
a
they have
standard
question,
request
if I
that's
have
in
a
their
question, I
budget,
gotta ask a question.
if it's a
She is not
standard
here.
request that we approved in their budget, why should they have to come and ask again? This is procedural. There's no,
Come here again.
come on. Okay.
Okay.
We'll disagree.
We'll agree to
We can-
disagree, but
I'm
I'll
still,
tell you.
I'm still your friend, but.
I hope we have that in the public record.
It's in the public
Hill is still a friend of Walker's. Is there any other questions or concerns before we go off the rails on this one?
We're good.
Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Counselor McBurney, Counselor Hill.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor McBurney.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Burge.
Yes.
Let's try this again on item number 4. Jennifer Gallagher, Director of the City Rental Assistance Program, requests permission to send a CPA staff member to the City of Buffalo from June 13th to the 14th for 2023 for training. Anybody have any questions or concerns other than Counselor Walker? Oh, Counselor
I
Walker.
just wanna say, I do like coming too.
We're off.
Wow. Okay, I'm seeing that I'm losing control here. Any other questions or concerns? Seeing none, please give me a motion, please. Counselor Plunkett, Counselor Burge.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor McBurney.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Burge.
Yes.
Item 5, Timothy Rice, Commissioner of Public Works and Parks and Recreation, has received a request from Chuck Berger for permission to donate plant trees at 76 East Mohawk Street. I don't imagine anybody should have a concern about them planting a tree, giving us trees. Anybody have any concerns?
I will tell you, though, he had a bunch of trees taken down last year at his property, and because they put new sidewalks in, he wanted to buy the trees that he wanted, so he purchased.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. I'm glad to see you have no problem with this one tonight, Mr. Walker. Anybody else have any information that would be important here? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Counselor Hill, Counselor McBurney.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor McBurney.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Burge.
Yes.
Item 6, Mayor William J. Barlow Jr. Seeks authorization to sign a small wireless communications facilities master license agreement with Bell Atlantic Mobile Systems, LLC. I see our city attorney is armed and ready to talk.
Mr. Chairman, good evening, everyone. Before I introduce Greg Hanley, I just wanted to let you know that while you were talking about the street poles, I was trying to make the city a little bit more money. Dawned on me in this discussion previously that there's a price differential between owning a street light and just having a street light in your community, and that's what this next contract's all about. If we own those street lights, we would have doubled our money, but we're only purchasing the arm and not the pole. And so Greg's going to talk to you about what Verizon is proposing to do with the 5G network. I don't want to steal his thunder, but the end result is it is a money-making proposition for the city, just not as much as I got excited about 10 minutes ago that we might double our money. But anyway, without further ado, this is Greg Hanley. He's the principal engineer for Verizon. He's going to talk to you about the 5G proposal.
I've got handouts. Is it okay for me to approach?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks.
I'd like to thank Kevin for introducing me. As Kevin said, my name is Greg Hanley. I'm a principal engineer for the network real estate team at Verizon Wireless in Rochester, but I work out of Syracuse. What Verizon is proposing to do, if you look at the second to last page, there's a map of the city of Oswego. You'll see 9 red dots. Those aren't the exact locations, but they're an approximate location of where Verizon would like to install small cell equipment on telephone poles, utility poles, in the public right-of-way. The next question that people usually ask is, what's a small cell? A small cell basically is a smaller version of the towers that you see out in the countryside, the big 150-foot, 190-foot towers. They can handle the same amount of calling capacity, but they can fit on a telephone pole. So what we use them for is filling in areas where we have capacity problems. Urban areas, suburban areas, where people are using their phones for calls, data, whatever they're using them for. In 2018, the FCC created an order related specifically to small cells in the public right-of-way. We were doing small cells in the public right-of-way, but not as much beforehand. A lot of our small cells, and there are a couple in the city of Oswego, we were putting them on rooftops. What we found is the right-of-way is people really, where people have really wanted us for the past 15 years. I give an example, whenever I meet with folks like yourself, I was at a zoning meeting for a tower down in Ithaca 21 years ago. And they said, why can't you guys just go on the telephone poles? Back then, we didn't have this tool in our toolbox. If you flip forward a couple pages, one of my favorite pictures that I show people, you'll see a pole that's got a transformer on it and a cable box, and you'll see a pole next to it that has a small cell antenna and our equipment box on it. So we're putting up equipment that's very comparable to what people see in the public right-of-way right now. So this contract that Verizon is looking to do with the city of Oswego is specifically for deploying small cells in the public right-of-way. What it covers is all the things that the FCC order of 2018 covered. It goes over the recurring prices that we can pay the city. It goes over the application fees. It goes over the timelines for approving permits when we come in to get permits. It has a term, like any other type of contract was. It has the insurance that Verizon will have to cover, along with protections for the city, for Verizon, emergency contact numbers, things of those natures. So we spoke to the mayor pre-COVID. I actually, when I started in the real estate, I used to be the engineer who decided where all the elements went in the network. I worked for Verizon for almost 25 years. They formed a team to go out and put these type of contracts in places, so when we had projects, this legwork was already out of the way and it didn't slow down the deployment in the network. Just this year, I think it was back in like January or February, I got assigned these new projects. I reached out to Kevin again and said, hey, that thing we were talking about in 2019, now there's some legs under it. We actually have projects. So can we get this conversation going again? Kevin and I worked on a contract together, the master license agreement, had some back and forth with our internal attorneys and Kevin, and we basically got the MLA at a point where Kevin's happy with it, Verizon's happy with it. It mimics the same exact agreement that we did in the city of Auburn back in 2020, and those nodes we're actually deploying and activating right now. So I've talked quite a bit. I like interactions, so I'll open it up for questions, for you guys.
Yes, Counselor Walker.
I know you're Verizon. Does this work with AT&T and all the other?
So, great question, and it's asked all the time. Yes, I work for Verizon. What I will tell you is the nodes that we're deploying, they don't cover as far as like those macro sites, right? So what I typically tell people is a 4G small cell, which is what we're looking to deploy right now, they cover probably 1,500 feet in each direction. The likelihood that AT&T would want to go at the same place as us because our big networks don't match up 100% is slim. I have never seen AT&T, Verizon, or any combo of AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon co-located on the same exact pole for small cells, only because the poles are so close together anyway. And when you start lowering the height, you affect the size of what you're covering. The other part of that is we can't transmit AT&T's frequencies. They can't transmit ours. But what I often tell people is 90%, I'm going to say 98% of the time, Verizon's the first in the door looking to put these agreements in place. Once you have this agreement in place, if AT&T walked in here 2 months later and said, hey, we want to put some small cells in the public right away, what's your process? You can say, here's the agreement that we signed with Verizon. Kevin can give them an email copy of it, say change the name from Verizon to AT&T, your work's already done. So I'm doing their work for them. Just because I'm a nice guy, right? That's what I try to tell people. But yeah, I've never seen us co-locate on a pole. But by us going out and doing this work, it makes it easier for them when they need to do something along these lines.
Anybody else have any questions for Greg? I don't see any, so I'll take a motion. Counselor Plunkett. Counselor Hill.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor McBrearty. Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Burge.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chip, folks. No worries.
Well, between you two saying you like each other, slowed us down.
I don't think Phil said that.
I didn't realize we were such good friends.
Yeah, who knew?
I didn't know I had another best friend.
Item 7, City Engineer Jeffrey Hinderleiter requests an executive session to discuss the financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session. Counselor Hill, Counselor Burge.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor McBrearty. Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett. Counselor Burge.